topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Tampa. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Got a great show for you. Our most popular show, Community Association, and we have got the top law firm in the state of Florida, K. Bender Rimbaum. Let's welcome attorney. She's been gone for a while. We've missed her, Kirsten Kins. Hi, Kirsten.
Hi, Steve.
I want to share something with you that I haven't ever shared before, and I'm not trying to make you nervous. We are on like 70 platforms, just on YouTube alone, YouTube only. We have been averaging about 400 viewers per show. That's just YouTube. And I think iHeart and the radio and Spotify really have the most listeners. But you've got a lot of people watching you. Not to make you nervous.
That does make me nervous, but I'll be okay.
I get out of here. You are a pro at this. Hey, tell people about K. Bender Rimbaum.
Yes, for all those new listeners listening to the show for the first time, K. Bender Rimbaum is a community association law firm. So that means that we specialize in community association law. So we represent primarily condominium, homeowners, and cooperative associations throughout the state of Florida. Our main office is located in South Florida in Pompano Beach, but we do have other locations throughout the state, including Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando area, and then I'm located on the West Coast in Tampa.
I got to tell you, you are absolutely one of the largest community association law firms. What I love about your firm is that's really all you concentrate in is community association law.
That's right, Steve. As many of the listeners know, the law has just been become more complicated over the years. And so, we primarily focus on assisting association boards in, operating and managing their associations. So we do anything from covenant enforcement, contract review, assist boards with their day-to-day operations, from budget planning to reserves, and you name it.
Another thing I love about your firm is you guys do so much free educational work classes, and you're always out there educating your clients and homeowners and condo owners. You give so much of your time doing that.
We do. We're heavily involved in providing free legal education to board members and property managers throughout the state. So whether it's via webinars on Zoom, or we host a lot of in-person local events in certain areas. So definitely, go on the firm website and take a look at our calendar for all upcoming events.
Well, I got to tell, if you've just tuned in for the first time, what we do, which makes it so much easier for me, is we take your questions in over the, I guess, month period. And we've got so many letters and texts that we get from our listeners that it makes the show so easy. And let's just get started. Let's start off with Jack in Palm Harbor. He says he's in an HOA, and I want to tell everybody, I really appreciate when you let us know whether you're an HOA or a condo, because there is a difference in the laws. So if you can, let us know if you're an HOA or a condo. In an HOA, is a 2/3 or major vote required for changing gate operations from 12 hours to 24 hours? I've never heard that question before. It's a good question.
Well, I mean, this appears to be more of a contract issue, not something that typically owners have the right to vote on. Contract issues are typically a board decision. So, unless there's something in your governing documents that requires membership approval, this is probably something that can be changed by board vote only. But I would caution you, take a look at the actual contract. There might be other requirements for modifying the contract. The vendor might need to approve that. So, I would just take a look at the contract, just confirm what the requirements are for making any modifications.
I saw a high rise. I was really surprised, Kirsten, because there's a security guard there for 12 hours. It's a gate that goes up and down, but then the other 12 hours, the gate stays open. And I'm curious, why would an HOA do that, or condo?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine, Steve. It may be that the gate is not operating properly. Who knows?
Okay, let's go to Cindy in St. Pete. This is a long one. I'm currently on a board and have found out our HOA board president has paid deposits on a $32,000 non-budgeted project. The work has already begun. This project has never been opened up for discussion at board meeting. Allowed owners an opportunity for input or had a vote and appeared by any board member. Nowhere in the governing documents is this addressed.
Yeah, I mean, interesting fact pattern. Certainly no individual or single director should be authorizing expenditures or projects of, $30,000 and above. So, I would start with taking a look at your bylaws to see if there's any expenditure limitations. I doubt there's anything authorizing a single director to approve such a contract. So, I mean, it seems like this is something that the board, or at least the majority of the board, would have to eventually ratify. So, you'll have to bring it up at the next board meeting, duly notice that board meeting, and certainly, ratify the approval of the contract. There are certain requirements for condominiums, not for HOAs, but for condominiums. So if you are approving a contract, you have to post notice of the contract. So just be aware for those who are condominium listeners. But yeah, I mean, I would suggest bringing this up at the next board meeting and then certainly ratify the approval of the contract at some point.
I'm curious, Kirsten, what's the biggest question you get from board members now?
Oh boy, it's a loaded question, but it seems that a main topic has been of late are architectural guidelines. And especially for HOAs, there's been a lot of changes in the statute regarding architectural guidelines and certain types of use restrictions that the board can and cannot enforce. And so a lot of questions revolve around that.
Okay, this is from George in our chat line. Our HOA board recently passed a special assessment to upgrade our clubhouse. The last time it was updated was in 2007. Some owners have objected, others a recall. What can they do?
Well, I mean, a recall is definitely an option if the membership is dissatisfied with the current board and the decisions they're making. Typically, a recall will require the approval of a majority of the owners. So, whether or not you can get that vote, that's an open question. I would take a look to see if the type of upgrades that are being proposed is possibly considered a material alteration and whether a membership vote was obtained. Typically, that's where the membership vote would come in. I would also take a look at the governing document, see if if the special assessment required a membership vote, if this is concerning either material alterations or upgrades that are not necessarily a necessary maintenance issue. So those would be probably the areas that I would look into for potential legal challenge.
What would you? This is a pretty easy question. What would you tell your board if they're failing to update the website?
Well, I'm not sure what that means, failing to update the website. I mean, there are certain requirements that boards have to comply with in terms of the types of records that need to be posted. Absent that, I'm not sure what updates or upgrades the caller is inquiring about.
Okay, let's go to Rex and St. Pete. We have many upcoming events at our pool and clubhouse. Do we need to post 48 hours notice that there may be a quorum of board members present?
Well, I mean, the caller doesn't identify what kind of events or functions are being performed here at the clubhouse. I mean, if there's social events, I mean, certainly just because a quorum of the board is at a social event, that doesn't necessarily constitute a meeting, right? If the gathering is one where a quorum of the board is present and the board is going to be taking, formal action on association business, then I would say yes, that it will probably constitute a meeting at which a meeting that the board will need to duly notice and then obviously open for the membership.
Okay. Norman in Braden, do you advocate for 100% transparency with regards to bank statements, invoices, CDs, saving accounts, pretty much everything the board or management company does on behalf of the owners, except for legal matters?
Well, certainly any record that the statute identifies, whether it's HOA or condominium, any record that the statute says the association has to maintain as part of the official record should be maintained as part of the official record and should be made accessible to any owner upon a proper written request made to the board. certainly, information about, bank accounts, statements, invoices, contracts. I mean, these are all records that the association should be maintaining as part of their normal operations, and should be part of the official records and accessible to owners.
Okay. This is regarding board members of 90 days to compete for certification. The state statute gives new board members 90 days to complete the 4-hour certification, but it does not give any timeline for the 4-hour annual training for existing board members. Is there a limit?
Was this a question for HOAs or condos, or didn't
Didn't
specify?
say.
Okay.
They just said they're a board member.
Yeah. Since the caller referenced 4 hours, the 4-hour certification class, that's obviously for condominiums. There's no similar 4-hour requirement for HOAs. The board certification class is a requirement, but it doesn't need to be 4 hours. Once you complete your board certification training, the director has continuing education credits, right? And typically those would have to be fulfilled between July 1st and June 30th. That's the position of the division as of now. So if that's what the caller was looking for in terms of timeline for completing education credit, continuing education credits, that's the time frame that's provided by the division.
Okay. Chris, in Plant City, our community has decided to put in a $14,000 plastic fence. I have never heard of a plastic fence, but the bylaws state must be uniform design, which are all wood. Can they proceed with the project?
Well, I mean, obviously that's going to depend on the, whatever ARC or architectural guidelines have been adopted for the community. And in this case, particularly for association type of modifications. So, obviously not something that I can answer without looking at the specifications or the governing documents for the community. But I would start with that, what the guidelines provide. And then again, if the association is changing the style or the material of the fence from what's currently in the community, then I would check the documents to see if this type of change is something that the membership would need to approve.
Okay. This is an HOA. Thank you for letting us know. This is an HOA, so no concept of material alteration. So we are now involved in a no-win, messy needs versus wants argument, or it is a mainstay versus replace. Can you comment on that?
I'm sorry, is the caller saying now this is a necessary maintenance? And is this referring to the prior question, or is this a separate?
This is a separate question. It says HOA special assessment. This is an HOA, so no concept of material alterations. So I think this is a follow-up question. So we are now involved in a no-win versus wants argument, a list of maintain or replace. I guess that's a follow-up.
It's a follow-up. Really hard to kind of answer these follow-up questions when we've already had, several in between, to try to keep sort of the fact patterns separate. So I'm sorry, you broke up there in the end. So this is a necessary maintenance issue, and I recall a special assessment was adopted, right?
Yes.
And what is the caller trying to clarify? Can you read the actual question?
I think I'm going to go on to the next one. This is the best way to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do follow-up questions.
Yes. Our builder is planning on turning over the HOA to the homeowners soon. What do we do if they haven't maintained the property over the last 3 years during construction? What actions do we have?
So under the statute, when the developer turns over control of the association to the owners, there's within a certain time frame after turnover, the developer has to turn over certain records, okay, including financial records. So I would advise that once you've completed your turnover and you receive these records from the developer, you seek out, an engineering firm to inspect the common areas and confirm, these maintenance issues, and then also to determine whether or not there could be any, claims against the developer, right? Construction claims. I would also recommend that the association hire an independent accountant to go over the financials of the developer, right? Because if you're going to make any claim against a developer, there's a limited time frame. So you kind of want to get on that as quickly as possible post turnover.
Okay. Tracy in Tampa, if we have a 5 board members, must all 5 have to be certified?
Yes, all directors, whether you're on HOA or a condominium board, have to do the board certification class and then have to complete the continuing education credit requirements annually.
God, I could even answer that one myself after doing so many shows with you. Kathy in Tampa says 4 of 5 board directors want to remove the president to director and the director to president. As the current president doesn't consult the board for board decisions, how do we get this on board agenda?
That's going to be a document specific thing. Take a look at the bylaws to see what board approval requirement you need in order to call this type of meeting.
Okay. You've got a lot of things going on in January. Can you share that with everybody? You've got board member certifications coming up. You've got a lot of classes coming up. Do you have that calendar in front of you?
Yeah. So we're almost at the end of January. Last week. So Friday, my colleague Danielle Brennan from the Palm Beach office will be doing an HOA board member certification class for those HOA directors, either newly appointed or have to fulfill the certification requirement. And that's going to be, it's a webinar. So it's going to be at 10 a.m. on Friday, January 30th. And then I'm going to be conducting a few events in February. Some are going to be local to the West Coast. So February 11th, I'm going to be teaching an in-person seminar at the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce. This is going to be a breakfast and learn. So a light breakfast will be served. And it's going to be at 8:30. So registration 8:30. Class will start at 9 a.m. And this is at the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce. And I'll be teaching a class on HOA financial literacy and transparency. So this will satisfy the continuing education credit requirement for HOA board members under Chapter 720 of the Florida statute. Anybody is welcome, but this class particularly will satisfy the HOA board member CU class. Then on February 13th, I will be, my colleague Alan Schwartzide from the Orlando office will be teaching a legal update. And this is via webinar. It's going to be at 10 a.m. On February 12th, for those of you who are local, there's going to be the Tampa Expo at the Tampa Convention Center. So I will be there. We'll have KBR will have a booth along with other vendors that service, condominiums and HOAs. I will also be teaching 2 classes at the Tampa Expo. I'll be teaching a class on guest restrictions as well as screening tenants and owners, and that's going to be at 9 a.m. And then I will be teaching the 2026 legal update. So this is an update on the laws that took effect July 1st of 2025. That class will be taught at 2:30 in the afternoon, also at the Tampa Convention Center. And then February 19th, Castle Group is going to have a mini trade show expo, similar to what you'll see at the Tampa Convention Center, but this one is hosted by Castle. It's called Educate to Elevate. So there will be other vendors and there will be other opportunities for attending classes and getting your CU credits. I will be teaching a class on covenant enforceability for associations. This will satisfy also a CU credit for HOA board members. February 24th, I'm also going to be teaching at the Ruth Chris here in Tampa, a class on funding construction projects. And this is an event that is hosted by KW Management Group. And then finally, February 25th, I will be teaching a webinar on elections. That's going to be at 11 a.m. And again, this calendar is posted on the firm's website. So encourage you to go on the website and take a look for other events.
Okay, Kirsten, do you miss the 2-hour certification classes, which are now 4 hours?
Yeah, at least for condos.
Yes. Hey, we're going to go to break, Rebel. It's a short break. We'll be right back. Before we go to break, give everybody the phone number, how they can reach your office.
Yes, the main line for our office is 954-928-0680. So you call that number and our reception will connect you with any office throughout the state.
Beautiful. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we've got more of your questions. We'll be right back.
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
Yes, we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. This is the last Tuesday of the month. That means K. Bender Rembaum. We have got we've got some easy questions that I say they're easy because I'm going, hey, I can even answer those. So for HOA board required annual training, does your firm offer any training that qualify for the CEU required?
Yes. So all our classes, all the classes that we offer are approved by the division and satisfy either the condominium continuing education requirement or the HOA continuing education requirement, and then as well as offer credits for property managers. So just when you go to sign up for a class, typically we will post the type of credit that is being offered. So just make sure you pay attention or note the type of credit being offered before you sign up.
Okay. This is from Bob. Can a developer of an HOA that once we pass the 90% sold close delay, the turnover process for months with no reason? I don't know if that makes sense or not. Can a developer?
Well, typically the governing documents will tell you when you need to have an election after you've passed a certain period. So I would just kind of defer to the governing documents as to when that would be.
Hey, Kirsten, when all else fails, go back to your governing documents. See how fast
for HOA, that is very much true. Yes, because the statute, the statute doesn't address everything, and so a lot of governance and use restrictions is really something that would be addressed in the governing documents, and more so for HOAs even than condos. So,
okay, let's go to Sharon. In Tampa, a homeowner brought it to our attention that we had not taken continuing ed classes as of 6/30/25. Should we vote again on the agenda items since we were suspended to avoid legal challenges?
I mean, certainly a prudent action. I mean, the statute does say that, any action taking, at a board meeting where directors are, technically not in compliance with their certification and CU requirements, it doesn't invalidate the action, but certainly prudent. And I would recommend just ratifying past board decisions at an upcoming board meeting. Yep.
Aaron in Tampa wants to know, is there a no pet community law? Is there a such thing as he doesn't say if it's HOA or condo?
Well, there is no law per se that addresses pets. I mean, pets is something that's going to be very specific to the community. So your declaration would address whether or not you're allowed to have pets or any other type of pet restriction. What the statute or what the law addresses is, assistance animals, which include emotional support animals and then, service animals, but no, pet law per se. And remember, emotional support animals or service animals, they're not technically considered pets.
Tracy in Tampa, if we have 5 board members, must all 5 have to be certified? I think we've asked that before.
Yep. All have to comply with the continuing education requirements and certification requirements. Yep.
Okay. Harold in St. Pete wants to know, do the bylaws supersede a rule book in a condominium association?
So I know board members typically, say bylaws, but they mean the declaration. So let me just kind of clarify. In terms of your hierarchy of your governing documents, first, your governing documents are really 3 documents, right? It's going to be your declaration, and it's either declaration of condominium if you're in a condominium or declaration of covenants if you're in an HOA. And then you're going to have articles of incorporation and bylaws. So in terms of hierarchy, your declaration is going to be your supreme document, right? It's the document that it's essentially a contract, right, between owners that bind the community and the association. And it's the document that's going to contain your use restrictions, essentially what you can or cannot do. Can you have pets? Can you have commercial vehicles, so forth and so on. So that's going to be your supreme. Then you're going to have articles of incorporation, and then below that you'll have your bylaws. And your articles of incorporation and bylaws, they shouldn't contain any use restrictions. They're the documents that set out the corporate structure and corporate governance of your association, right? So, who qualify as members, who qualify as directors, how many directors must serve on the board, so forth and so on. And then you might also have, rules or regulations, and then architectural guidelines, standards, policies. So your governing documents will always supersede these other, rules and regulations. And remember, your rules and regulations are really intended to either clarify or supplement what is already in your governing documents.
Okay, Jack in Tampa, is it true the board must take a vote on each fine before it's imposed on a resident?
Well, the board does have to adopt the fine, but remember, under the statute, and this applies to both condominium and HOAs, before the fine can be imposed, even after the board has adopted the fine, there has to be an independent committee that ratifies that board vote. So, there has to be, whether you call it a fining committee or covenant enforcement committee or compliance committee, however you call it, but the statute requires that there be a committee comprised of at least 3 members who are not, on the board, who are not directors, officers, employees, or anybody residing with these individuals, so completely independent. And their function is to have a hearing, hear the facts, and then either confirm the fine adopted by the board or reject the fine. So only if the committee confirms the fine can the fine be imposed. Okay, the committee's function is not to negotiate the fine, reduce it, none of that. It's either yes or no vote. So remember, 2-step process. Board adopts the fine, but then the committee has to vote to ratify the fine.
Okay. Ben in Tampa, regarding Zoom, board members must remain on to maintain a quorum. We often have a board member leave during the meeting, often noticeably when there is a roll call vote and none answers.
I don't know if there was a question or not, or just a statement.
Board member must remain. Should the board member remain on? I think it's more of a statement. And
yeah, well, typically, what happens is, you as long as you establish quorum of the board, once you've established quorum of the board, if a director leaves for whatever reason, that doesn't reduce your quorum, so you can continue conducting your business.
I think that's really what they're asking. Larry St. Pete, classification, if a Zoom meeting is held, is it physical location still needed, related to the new Florida statute?
So the law that took effect July 1st of 2025 affects condominiums on the issue of Zoom. So for HOAs, there's nothing. There were no changes in the law affecting Zoom meetings for HOAs. For condominiums, the statute now provides that if the board is going to offer a virtual attendance at a board meeting virtually via video conference, so your Zoom meeting or Teams meeting would qualify as a video conference under the definition of in the statute. So if you're offering the option for owners to attend virtually, you must have a physical location for that meeting. And you must identify the physical location on the notice of the meeting, as well as provide the hyperlink for owners to access the Zoom meeting. In addition, you have to also record the Zoom meeting now, and that recording now becomes part of the official records. And if you are subject to the website requirement, that recording also has to be posted on the website.
Kirsten, we used to get so many emails about support animals. We rarely get any, but here's one. How many support animals are allowed to a unit owner?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. What the law provides is that if an owner is claiming the need for, multiple or more than one assistance animal, the owner's going to have to document basically a disability related need for each of the animals. Okay. So, when you receive a request from an owner to maintain, multiple support animals, I would recommend you provide that request to your legal counsel for further guidance.
Okay. This is a pretty easy question from our chat line. Are the educational certificates required to be available for the inspector as part of the official records to be viewed by all members? What if one is not done? Either no classes or certification.
So yes, as part of the director's obligation to meet the certification and continuing education requirements, once the director attends, the required class, yes, you have to provide a copy of the certificate to, whether it's the secretary, property manager, whoever's maintaining your official records, to keep that as part of your official records, right? Because that's what confirms that you've completed your requirement. There is no mechanism right now with the division to post confirm that you've met requirement with the division. Right now, that process is only for property managers. So if you attend one of our classes, we will certainly post with the division the manager's credit, but we don't report to the division, the fulfillment of a board of directors, credits. So that's something you have to keep as part of the official records. If you don't have a certificate on file and an owner seeks to or makes an inspection request and, obviously sees there's nothing on file, then, under the statute, a director is automatically suspended. Okay. Until the director complies with the requirement. So make sure that you maintain your certificates as part of the official records.
I do want to apologize. We are getting so many questions in today, which is great for your show. But I just have to tell everybody we appreciate them. If we don't get to them, we'll put them on next month's show. We just have so many texts. Some of these texts are like a month long, and I want to make sure I get to as many as I can. So I apologize. See, Kirsten, that's what you get for having such a popular show, okay? I'm sorry. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Let's go to Mark in St. Pete. What CEU credits are required besides the legal update for board members? How many in all hours?
Is it me, or have there been just a bunch of questions on certification and education requirements?
A lot. That's amazing. There is.
But you know what? I'm not surprised. I think there's still just so much confusion in the statute about when you have to take these credits and really what the requirements are. So if attorneys are confused, I don't blame the general public.
Remember, that's why I asked you, what is the biggest questions you're getting? Because I'm seeing all these questions on credits coming in.
So in terms of continuing education requirements, so for condominiums, you have to take, one continuing education class each year after your board certification, and that has to do with updates in the law. So we do offer that one class that's basically like a legal update for condo board members. And that's just that one credit, and that satisfies for condo boards. For HOAs, a little bit different. The continuing education credit requirements will depend on the size of the community. So if you're in a community with less than 2,500 parcels, you have 4 hours of continuing education credits to fulfill annually. It doesn't mean you have to sit for one 4-hour class. I don't even know if there's anything, that's 4 hours available to HOA board members in the market. But you can fulfill those 4 hours by attending 4 different classes, 1 hour long. Okay. Now, if you're in a community that has more than 2,500 parcels, then you have 8 hours of continuing education requirements to fulfill each year. So that's the current state of the law. We'll see what happens. So stay tuned.
Jerry in Tampa, I have the right as an owner to know who has proxies and also request a copy of it.
So, I mean, as an owner, you have the right to inspect the official records. So if proxies are issued, in connection with a membership vote, whether it's an election or any other issue, following that meeting, the association is required to maintain those proxies as part of the official records for at least 1 year. So certainly following that meeting, you can make a request to inspect the official records and then see what proxies were submitted for that meeting.
Okay. Let's go to Reed in Tampa. A lot of Tampas today. We are an HOA. Can we do voting certification like condos do?
Voting certifications like condos. So if I don't know if the caller means voting certificates. So a voting certificate, so a voting certificate applies in the situation where a unit or parcel is either owned by multiple owners, or the parcel or unit is owned by an entity, like a limited liability company. And so what the voting certificate will require is that the owners of the unit or parcel identify who among themselves will be the voting member for that unit or parcel. And that is something that is, if at all, would be required in the bylaws of the association. So, I mean, yes, HOAs can also have voting certificates, but that's not necessarily a concept that's specific for just condominiums. So it really is going to depend on whether your bylaws require voting certificates. And if they do, you can institute them. If not, then the bylaws could be amended to require voting certificates in the future.
I was kind of half kidding before how popular your show has become, but like I said, it's amazing how many, letters we've gotten live during the show. And we appreciate your letters. I have made copies of it. We'll be answering those letters next month. Kirsten's with us every month. Kirsten, tell people again how they can reach Kay Bender-Rimbaum.
Sure. So, the best way can certainly call the main office, and that's 954-928-0680. Or you can reach me by email at khenze@kbrlegal.com.
Kirsten, we love having you on. I look forward to our show next month. Have a wonderful, wonderful, stay warm. We're getting ready to get cold weather for us, right?
Thanks, Steve.
Good.
Yes.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Have a good night.
You too. That's our Kay Bender-Rimbaum show. That's it for us today. We'll be back in with you next week, God willing. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Everybody have a wonderful week. See you soon.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.